is gonna be great. Ooh.
Oh, are we live? Oh, okay, we are.
Are we?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Hi.
He makes you so slick.
Damn it, Mike. We were begging him to go live. We deserved that.
Yeah, we've been just sticking around for.
Welcome to the most psychedelic show on Twitch.
Oh, arise, minions, and welcome.
Oh, we're aroused, Mike. We're aroused.
Be aroused, minions. This is it. This is what you got. If you like this, fucking stick around, because in season 2 we're gonna be doing this, but recording it and putting it on Patreon. So you can check that out there. But for now, this is what you got. You got us. You got half of Joey's face with my head behind it. You got, you know, this is just it.
Yay!
Let me tell you, this is not only the most psychedelic, it's the greatest show on Twitch, is what I heard Mike say. Is that what you said, Mike?
I don't think I've ever said those words.
Well,
Pretty sure that's
Mike,
exactly what he said.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Noam.
We've already clipped it, so like there's.
Yeah, it's been, I heard it. Clip it, y'all.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
I heard it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And we know that my sources, Mike, are
bad at best.
Bad at best.
wow.
Oh.
Wow. So You All Die in Space, season 2.
Thanks, Mike.
That's what season 2 is called. You all die in space.
Oh,
Yes.
that's how I do it.
That's how it's
Coriolis
supposed to
campaign.
work.
The end of a Coriolis campaign.
There
There
you
it
go.
is. There it is. That's what I wanted.
Everyone, please do that.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone, please do that.
I need.
you.
Yeah. Send that to us, Paul.
Great.
Yeah, can
Thank
you please?
Thank
Oh
you,
god. Oh no.
Oh whoa.
Oh.
Oh no! Take the space image and use that as your background.
Oh, space.
Just a white background.
I love how the smart green screen for this is so choppy. It literally looks like you just took like directional lines and just like photoshopped around it.
Yeah.
It
How
looks
do I
like my
turn
bad
this off now?
thumbnails.
It's because so many people are working from home right now. And what probably happened is Zoom came out and everybody was terribly embarrassed by their homes being in their work video. And Zoom was like, we need a quick solution to this. So they did a massive update, which helped their servers.
This has
The
been
green screen thing's been
I've never seen anybody use it
It's
until
because
recently.
it's because you have to upgrade to 4.6, which fucks everyone's Twitch stream. So because I have the upgrade, that's why it looks, you know, that's why it's fixed-ish.
Oh, I
So,
see.
Yeah.
Well,
But anyway, hello guys.
Yeah.
Hello.
This is it. This is the whole show.
Welcome to our shit show.
Yeah, this is the whole show, team. This is it. You wanted this. You demanded for whatever the fuck this is, and it's your fault. So suck it.
wow, that's definitely,
Says Mike.
Welcome.
definitely.
So take it away, Dot. Let's get
It's season
Great.
2.
What are we
Great.
doing? What exactly are we doing today?
So, okay, if you want to know what I had on a to-do list for us,
Oh
it
my
was
god, you made a to-do list?
Shit, Mike, do you
Yes,
even
Mike.
know me?
Do you know the crew?
Do you even know
Excuse me. I have a list. Thank
I
you.
actually have written down questions of what I was going to ask.
So, Mike,
Ooh.
I
You,
stopped
sir.
taking notes in episode 4.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you for being on my
first off,
team.
there are so many things that I love hearing. When your players get to the point they stop taking notes, it's because they're listening, which makes me very happy to hear.
No,
Two,
I have
Mike,
like 7 pages of notes.
I don't write notes. I never ever write notes.
Yeah.
Ever.
some people, I have tried to start writing notes. I'm not very good at it.
It doesn't help me. That's the reason why. Like I understand some people write notes for D&D and stuff, but when I write notes, I am stupid. And when I read the notes, I'm just like, I don't remember what these notes are about. So then the whole page and book is just pointless. And I'm like, all right, well, I just wasted a tree. Great. Okay.
You could,
Yeah.
hey, you could get one of those notebooks like I have, which is a dry erase notebook. Then you don't waste trees.
Yeah. True.
As Alyssa said, it's got little red bullet points.
Little red bullet points. Yes, Mike. Yes,
Paul,
that
rocket
happened.
book.
Yeah, true.
I was telling you, get one of those. That's
Yeah.
what I used to.
Oh, is that what you used to use? Yeah.
Mhm.
So yes, I had some things, which is we should talk about upgrading the vessel. The Defiant, I had a feeling that there were some parts that wanted to be bought. So I thought it might be kind of cool to like let the audience in on some of the like, I don't know, mechanics of purchasing things and what stuff costs and how that works. You all may want to level or like take some experience and spend it if you haven't already, because you earned 1 per game, and then 1 game I gave you 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 12
2
games.
points left over.
13 points is what you got the full season.
Oh, I've been upgrading them.
Great, perfect. As you've gone, I love it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna just leave it open for discussion and questions. We should decide if this is a spoiler stream
Of the like.
of our for example, Paul, are your questions story related?
They're character related.
They're character related.
Yeah, more stuff like things I was wondering about.
Oh, okay.
And then
How about this?
never get
If
a
we get
chance
to
to
a
it.
point where there could be spoilers, I will we'll pitch the spoiler question. Other than that, if we feel like it's not going to spoil anything for the audience for season
it's
2,
also like questions more of the sense of like I would like to get to know the character better, that kind of deal.
oh yeah,
Like you know like what was like Malik and Tamir's relationship when they were living in Algor? Like how was their dynamic? How did they survive? Like what kind of characteristics built on that? You know, while on the ship with Tal and their sister, were there any interesting things that kind of pushed the sisterhood away? Because since it seems like there's such different personalities, you know, like stuff like that. That's what I really had questions for. Which of course we can find out down the line in season 2. However, I'm impatient and I want to know now.
That's fine. I'm down for that. I'm down to make up backstory on the spot.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
all right, cool. Well, there that is.
I will say.
I really feel like you have an overdeveloped sense of how much story we have and how much improv we've been doing.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'll be honest. Paul has sent me the most backstory,
I thought that's
followed
what I had to do.
very closely by Eris, but most from Paul.
What you have
I
for me
didn't
and
send
Joey.
you that much.
Which tells you a lot about the other 2.
What you have for me and Joey is all we have. We've developed.
But
we've developed
that's
more
cool.
backstory
Like
through
everybody
text
works
messages.
differently. Yeah.
I think though it's interesting to showcase that in shows like this too, because it would let people who watch understand that there's no right or wrong way to prepare for a show, because you have such a large dynamic of different role players here, you know.
Yep.
And then I have a fuck ton of DM questions, you know. But
Well, ask away, sir.
Well, before you jump into question mode, I am going to say, first of all, Amanda, that's not her shirt. It's a stupid filter that she's using to freak everyone out. But I will say, everyone in chat, if you have questions for the players, if you have questions for the GM, if you have questions in general, please preface it with the word question. And then if it's for someone, put their name in there somewhere so that we know, so that it sticks out in the thing. Or at me, or both. Do both of those things. At me and use the
either
word
way,
question.
yeah.
Also,
Try to get
highlight
attention
and spam yeet.
Don't do that.
Yes, yeet.
yeah, yeet away.
We will
All the-
we will
only
only
answer yeet
questions via
questions.
yeets.
Don't do that.
So
Actually,
Oh my
instead of
gosh.
prefacing it with question, can we
Joey.
preface it with yeet colon?
No,
Yeet
Joey,
colon.
Joey, shut up with your
maximum bet,
goddamn
whichever.
Yeah, what's in that soup? It looks good.
Listen,
drop soup,
Joey,
he
you
said.
got a goddamn emote out of this bullshit. Stop telling them to spam that word in my chat. You got an emote.
Yeah.
Spam
It's,
the emote. If you don't have the
egg drop
emote, get
soup.
one.
But what Mike was saying, like, consider today like a Q&A stream. You know, you guys have a chance to ask us anything about our characters, ask Dot about her GMing abilities and all that stuff. So go right ahead, not right ahead. What?
There's a question that sparked this whole thing. Is the next season planned for 12 episodes as well? Yes, it is. It is planned.
Thurs
It is
for
planned
laughing.
for. I'm ignoring you. Eat your goddamn soup and shut your mouth. I will say that the next season is planned for at least 12 episodes.
I love you, no.
Back hole on my shoulder.
Is what I'll say. Season 2 is at least 12 episodes.
At least ...
12 dot. It's at least 12 episodes.
Chat,
Yeah.
I'm
Now,
about to
I
type
think
something in chat.
the exact number of episodes is how many Mike thinks he can get out of me, because I do actually have a Thursday group that I stopped playing with to come play here, And I actually enjoyed myself so much, I stayed on for another season.
So, what I'm hearing is if you guys really like Aris and want her to play in Season 3 of Void, head over to aristavad.com and buy yourself some dice accessories, like a dice bag or a dice tray. Or, you know, just
I don't know if you can bribe me by buying
or
my
just,
stuff,
or just head to
but you can certainly
paypal.me/Aristavad.
I mean, we got to start somewhere, Aris.
Exactly. Give us a launch point. Damn.
Listen, if we have to pay you to be our friend, we're going to do it. God damn it.
I've done my entire life. Don't
I
you
will
get
always
that's totally
be your
worth.
friend.
There was a question for you, Aris. What inspired
gosh.
your character concept?
Ooh.
Oh. So, first Han Solo, and second, and this is gonna sound funny, but another character off of another show. Her name is Kessra, and she is on Fate's Chosen, which is on Open for Adventure. She's got pretty surly attitude, but she's got a lot more layers than it seems. And really, it just covers up a heart of gold. And when she cares about someone, she will fiercely protect them no matter what it costs her. But for the most part, she'd just rather not deal with anybody she doesn't have to.
Okay. We have two more questions. I'm going to roll them into one because they're applicable to both. One of them is from Strike Red Kite, and the other one is from Casper the Ghost. Gnome, what inspired your character? And but for Gnome and Mike, when did you decide to be brothers in the show? I'm pretty sure the answer is the same for both of them, which was immediately. And what inspired the characters, Joey? You want to
definitely, Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
No fucking doubt. I've always wanted to play brothers, and I've always wanted to play brothers as Ed and Al, and we have our Ed and Al. Yeah. It is my dream story come
Who's
true.
who?
He's Alphonse. Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Yeah, right. He's a sweet, kind-hearted soft boy in a chunk in armor. He's in armor at all times.
I love this, Dot. Right? Just keep doing it.
We love it.
Don't
Dot.
stop.
Don't stop.
Dot, I'm actually just gonna not ask you any of the questions that come from you. Just
I'm gonna sit here all night and just keep changing my clothes.
If you guys don't know, by the way, Dot has fangs on.
Oh God, you're so fucking extra.
I know, I'm so extra.
It's so good. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, we wanted to be. When did we were bullshitting about ideas. I think we were texting back and forth while we were both at work and trying to decide what we wanted to play. And I don't remember. I think the idea was just posited between the two of us. What if we were brothers? And you know, then like I think backstory just unfolded as it came up. We were like, oh, we'll be from Algol, we'll be on the thing. And then he was like, I want to go to school, and I was like, cool. Well, we'll figure some shit out. Maybe I work for the Syndicate because I wanted a cool Syndicate power. And then we just sort of built it from there. And so basically, what you see in episode 1 was our entire backstory for the majority of the thing.
It took at least 8 episodes, I think, and me constantly texting Mike, how did our parents die?
Yeah.
Mike, did we ever pick how our parents got killed?
We did.
Mike?
We picked it.
What's up with our parents?
We picked
Mike,
it.
Hey, buddy. Our parents are dead. How?
Yeah. Okay, I just want to say, for the record, not to hog the spotlight, that's 100% true, and he did continuously ask me, but offer zero input as to how he thought they should be killed. He only said, Mike, I need you to decide for us how our parents died.
Excuse me, I then said, oh, maybe they were literally just crushed by the weight
No,
of
you
our
didn't.
industrialized society.
I
said
said
that.
I said, what if they died? What if they died this
I can back
way?
that up. He did say that.
No, we had a private text conversation, and I said, "What if they died in industry?"
Yeah, we were on a call.
We were on a call.
No.
Yes, yes,
that's true.
Because
that's
Dot
true.
and I both remember we were on a call.
Yes, correct. But this is a text conversation from before that, where his contribution was, "What if they literally died?" by being crushed by. So I said, what if they were crushed under the oppressive heel of like corporation? And his contribution was, what if it was literally? And I was like, all right, well, that's it. So don't try to say that you had ideas. You just took the one I gave you.
That was an idea, and it was great.
It's a good idea.
It was a good idea. Oh god,
that's phenomenal. By the way, that's so phenomenal.
What do we have for questions? Question for
I should be moderating. Sorry, Mike.
Nah, you're good. Question for Dot. What is your favorite Dark Points sabotage from May?
Ooh.
Yeah.
My favorite? Okay, I'll tell you my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite, in fact, it inspired this past Sunday Fun Days Coriolis one shot that tied into your storyline.
That was really cool. I was there.
Wait, what?
Not
yeah.
There,
you ran the thing. Oh, that's right. I forgot you ran.
I ran a Coriolis one shot. Okay, so my favorite was the appearance of the Xene.
Mm-hmm.
So I used the Darkness Point to play the Xene card, which of course was brought through when you made the jump to Taoan.
Mm-hmm.
For if you didn't pick up on it in terms of gameplay, basically them crashing through and passing the third or like the Terran space to the first horizon broke open a Xene cage to some degree. It allowed a Xene to literally catch a ride on your vessel out of the first horizon. Was originally my plan. And then this Sunday Fun Day happened. And at the end, all I'm going to say is at the end, they are trying to get off a crash landed, surprise, and when they get to a new vessel, the only thing left on the vessel, there's no people, there's no nothing. There's a container, kind of like an urn. And after a sandstorm, it spills open and it lets out a Xene and offers one of them a wish. And the one person wishes because they were a premonition and they had a premonition about Tal's sister.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened.
Oh my gosh, I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, you need to go back and watch it. There was a call, and we know you find out what happens to our priestess as well, the missing priestess.
Oh,
and you guys can catch this
that was
on the VOD on Dot's channel or on
YouTube.
Her YouTube as soon as she gives me the goddamn video to edit for her. Or did you actually edit it yourself?
I don't edit anymore, Mike. It goes from Twitch to YouTube. I'm sorry, everybody.
Listen.
I'm a literal single dot.
I've offered. And so
he has offered, but I just feel bad.
So has Paul.
I feel bad. Okay. Regardless, let me finish this rant. So, my favorite Darkness Point was this because when it spilled open, the wish that they wished for was for the for them to help end the mysticides. And so the Xene left and hitched a ride on your vessel into the Taoan system. So it was because of a wish of another that the Xene ended up where they are, and they have to fulfill. So they hitched a ride to Coriolis with all of you.
Interesting. Okay, so I have...
So my favorite one was the Xene coming into play because it inspired so much more story.
Okay.
Love it.
I dig it. I dig it.
I refreshed the chat, damn it.
That's right, I didn't, so I have it all.
Thank God.
Boop, boop, boop. The stream's changed. Cool.
So professional.
I guess we should be just talking, just chatting, just whatever.
No, I think you can remain because we're talking about.
We're talking about the show.
So, general GM question here for anyone to jump in and answer: if you had to balance out an unbalanced character, how would you try to balance your game without killing the rest of the group? My answer is: there's no such thing as an unbalanced character.
Agreed.
That's it.
People are unbalanced in life.
Yeah.
Like in actuality, like some people are frail and very intelligent. Some people are very, very strong and not. Like those stereotypes come out of real people. So I think when you look at like extremes, it's a place where if you just kind of have to lean into it.
Yeah.
I use that term, lean in. Accept it for what it is as an anomaly, right? Which are like the tallest and the biggest are always the anomaly. The brightest and the boldest are always the anomaly. They're an anomaly. So how do you deal with an anomaly? You don't.
I think a good example was when with Dot and the dancer, the first encounter with Soul and the dancer. Like the dancer was extremely overpowered compared to Soul, but a good way to bat that is if I made the dumb decision to fight it, I would probably have died. You know what I mean? And you just got to accept it. That's just life. Sometimes you go down the wrong alleyway and you meet a foe that you can't face. But she provided opportunity for me to leave. So I think that's something important. Like, produce your scene, produce your characters, but always have opportunities, no matter how small or big that they are, so that the characters can decide what their faith is. Yeah, it's about allowing them still to make choice, right? Yeah. Because for whatever reason, when they built that character, right? Whenever they built that character, they were inspired by something. So instead of crushing the creativity and the creation process, it's better to just lean into it.
Yeah, usually when you're speaking about an unbalanced character, it's usually in a combat sense, or in a combat-heavy game, more often than not. And you don't need to counterbalance an OP character. Hell, I think more GMs than you expect don't even make balanced encounters to begin with. I just throw random monsters that sound cool and fit the area at you.
I do.
Do you?
I build balanced encounters. If I'm going to have an encounter,
so hard.
If I'm going to have an encounter, a combat encounter, I'm going to make sure to balance it. Like and I'll do different things. Like in this case, I knew going into any combat encounter that Tamir is never going to fire a weapon, which means that I need to think about how many. I saw that look. How many like creatures can be taken on at once, and more importantly, to provide opportunity, regardless of how much damage is taken, for things to happen, like Sul going down, so that Tamir can use his brains to solve the problem. Sul going down the first time was partially tied to story, but was actually there to give Tamir something to draw him out.
For #Sulmir.
Right, yeah. So that we could get that moment and set up for his, what I knew was going to be a literal stab in the gut moment for your backstory. Yeah. But that's how I balanced that encounter. So anytime we go into one, I'm like, okay, who's at my table? Do we have a lot of fighters? Great. Then I'm just going to toss as many dudes at them as they can handle.
Right. But you're not doing like in D&D, you're not like going through like CR and making a perfectly numerically balanced combat, right?
There is no such thing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like if I will throw a combat at you that sounds narratively applicable and that I think you can handle. And that's as far as I go for balance. Do I feel good about this combat, that you guys are going to have fun, it'll be cinematic, and that you guys will more than likely succeed? Yeah. All right, fuck it. I'm throwing that at you. Hold on. I'm being messaged because I am unprofessional. Should we change the stream title? Yes, we did that. Ignore this.
Yeah,
I'm putting
you're
this
behind,
here
dude.
so that I can copy and paste this.
You're way behind.
Well,
okay.
Just
stop.
This is how you stream professionally, guys.
Mike, you're pretty.
Thank you. Question for the players. What do you do both in and out of character if your party encounters a monster boss party that you are obviously unprepared for? I think that's
entire season 1.
Yeah, I think that's every scenario. I would love to be unprepared for every encounter that we face. If I've had time to prepare, it's far more like logistical. Like you prepare for a war, you barely prepare for an encounter, right? Unless you're like, I'm going to fight a dragon or I'm going to fight this djinn, right? It's rare that you are prepared for the combat that happens or the encounter that happens, in my opinion.
I mean, I always tell my players, there is no shame in running.
Yes, agreed.
There is no shame in getting the fuck out of there.
And some things you're not supposed to win.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's it too. So it's nice to have a table of players that are like, when they come up against, say, I don't know, a Xene that takes over the ship, they don't try to, I don't know, attack it.
No, you fucking make a deal with it because you know that it's more powerful than you.
Yes, exactly. So,
and that's why she's the smart one.
That's why she's our pilot.
If it was anybody else, we would have been space.
Yeah. No, my mod wants to tell you that they've left Nomansky for Animal Crossing. They have betrayed me. I
mean, we all have.
I know you all
literally
have.
Playing right now.
I almost picked up space today, but I had a lot of stuff coming through the mail.
I hate it.
On Animal Crossing.
Golly gee.
By the way, for the record, y'all have made me want to play Animal Crossing so badly. I had a dream that someone sent me a Switch with Animal Crossing the other night, and I woke up crying because it was just a dream.
Okay, so how
Thanks,
do we get
assholes.
you?
Okay, so
How do we come up and get you?
or hashtag fund Eris's Switch.
Yeah. It's
no, did you get my gift?
Ko-fi.com/Arisavad.
Ew, it should be the Stitch Bitch on Twitch or Switch.
The Stitch Bitch on Switch.
It's
Yeah, you just did that.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Please change all your stuff to the Stitch Bitch from now on, please. Thank
It
you.
rhymes. The Stitch bitch on Twitch.
Oh,
It's a Switch.
This-
You know, I almost made my show called Stitchin' and Bitchin' instead of Stitchy Fix.
love that.
Well, you should do like a coffee talk, right? Where you just chat. It's a just chatting, where it's called Stitching and Bitching, where you just hang out and you're like doing whatever and just chilling. Oh god.
I think that's phenomenal.
It's amazing.
This is my favorite question so far by Snow Dogs. Who is Malik's favorite fellow crew member and why is it Sewell?
Why is it not?
You got your answer
Dogs,
there.
buddy. Good morning.
That is a
I hope it's his girlfriend.
Solid question. It's not.
It's Soul. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously, Tal.
if you take Tamir out of the picture, I mean, it would likely be Sewell.
Hell yeah.
Because I don't think Malik, he doesn't dislike Tal. He's just confident that Tal dislikes him, and usually he wins people over with his charm or pisses them off completely, and you're neutral, and he doesn't know how to deal with the neutrality that is Tal. Like, you just tolerate him, and he doesn't get a strong reaction in either way. And so, like, he doesn't know how to behave around you, because it's usually either one polar opposite. And he also thinks that Sewell is a little dumb. So he sees it in his years of being with the Syndicate and doing small non-terrorist crimes, unlike someone else in the crew. He's skilled in manipulation. He sees Sewell as someone who's both useful and also easy to manipulate. And that's why he likes Sewell. Because he's pretty sure he can get him to do what he wants. And
I'm just
also,
a pawn to you.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he said that from like episode 2 to,
Damn it,
to
you
episode
did.
12.
He did.
He's been pretty upfront about that.
Yeah, like he says it to you.
Oh shit, you're right.
Question for everyone, other than your own character, who is everyone's favorite to watch roleplay come from? Paul is my favorite.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yep.
I have to agree.
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be a unanimous vote.
Yep.
I mean, aside from Dot.
Yeah, Dot
Yeah.
is like
Voted
the
that,
most. Dot is the most interesting GM to watch.
I agree.
That's
100%.
terrifying. I would like to say,
I love your facial expressions just so much. It's
We literally go back to watch the show. We now
Yeah.
do it together.
oh god,
Yeah.
that's
To watch
embarrassing.
I
your
will
face.
say, I love Dot's narrative more than anything. The way she
Mhm.
narrates a story is very engaging, and
Aw.
it like grips you, but not in a aggressive, forced way. It's the tone, it's the pacing. A lot of things that people don't realize. Like, you can be a really good storyteller, but to be like a narrative, a full voice,
Pacing
there's
is-
pacing.
Everything.
Yeah, and it's marketing too, if you think about it. Pacing, speed, choice of words, tone, all of that is into thought process, and you can tell she thinks about it when
So,
she tells her stories.
I'll tell you this. I can tell you what I each love about each of your characters in roleplay.
Hell yeah.
So I like Sewell, obviously. Paul, watching you come into your own as a role player has been
Absolutely.
just
There-
wonderful.
I think that's why we love Paul.
yeah.
Because it's this really new, fresh.
like love of it, and
Amazing
it
person, yeah.
rekindles my fire.
But at the same
Yeah.
time, like, you came in, not to put you on blast here, but you came in and you were like, I'm new at role playing, and also you guys are powerhouse role players. And we were like, shut up, just come play with us.
Yeah.
And to see you go from like, I'm a baby role player to like completely 100% holding your own,
Aw.
like right alongside, like not missing a beat. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, hell yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Y'all killing me inside right now. Shit.
Yeah. But watching you play Sewell, who is, we only find out so much later in the story, is struggling in his own rightful way, like emotionally
Yeah.
and mentally, based on like the job that he's had to do, which explains so much of these like kind of outright kind of weird decisions he made early on in his roleplay. I just thought you handled really nicely.
Oh, thank you.
I have to be honest. unspoken sexual tension between Tamir and Tao is beautifully done.
I love it.
It's not heavy-handed. It's just enough that you know that they care about each other and they've had these like singular moments. It just feels very genuine, and I just think it's just one of those moments in a very dark show like this that sheds a speck of that level of like empathy and ethos we look for in like a story as people. I just think it's really great.
Also, I will request from now on that any time you see those interactions in the next season and all future seasons, please hashtag let my people smooch is the appropriate hashtag
let
for it.
My people
Let
smooch.
my people smooch.
Oh God. And then I have to say, Mike, I love putting you in tough situations, tough social situations, because we're similar GMs in that, like, and players in that we thrive in like improvised role play.
Yeah.
Like that's where our characters thrive, which means that I can come to the table with, say, a quirky doctor, and how you mitigate. I can't prepare for how you mitigate that, so it's always very genuine, and I really enjoy role playing with you.
I was gonna say the same thing. I enjoy watching you GM, but it's the weirdest reason. Like you're amazingly talented and a wonderful GM. However, I feel like we have a very similar GM style. And I can't watch myself GM, but watching you GM is how I imagine that I GM. So I'm like, yeah, you're killing it, Dot. I'm like, and I'm also pretty decent.
I'm also killing it back over here in this corner.
I'm not bad. If that's how I think I GM, and she's killing it, I can't be bad. I can't be too bad. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy watching you GM. I think this is the first time you've been playing on the channel for like a year. But this is the first time you GM'd on the channel. So I think it's actually the first time you've ever GM'd for me, which is outstanding.
I think that's actually true. We've always played together.
Yeah.
Or you GM'd.
Yeah.
I've been there to fuck up your story.
It's been a goddamn blast. I feel like this is appropriate, right? Like you with Joey in Men of Letters, you fucking obliterated so much plot because you were nonsense. And I feel like the tables have turned.
Joey was all business.
Okay.
Joey was fab.
Okay.
Joey was all business.
Story needed Joey, okay?
What business was Joey?
He was business. Joey was off selling papers on the street corner until he got picked up and realized that he was just an experiment. It wasn't his fault.
It
wasn't Joey's fault.
Sure.
And you know what? Last time I checked, Joey beat a few things with the newspaper and really tried to make the situation better.
I don't remember how you convinced me to give you a magical newspaper either.
I was like, I want a newspaper that always tells the current news. And he was like, well, it's Cypher.
That's dope. That's
right?
actually awesome.
Isn't that the coolest thing? I was like, he's a newsie. He would want a newspaper that always, and then he would roll it up and he would beat people with his magical newspaper.
That's phenomenal. Damn, that's amazing.
Mike, as Mike said, it kind of botched his very serious Cthulhu story.
So that's the thing, right? Is like I think we can say that about Coriolis as well. Like as the GM, you intend for a serious game, and there were serious moments in Men of Letters, just like there were serious moments in Coriolis in Void. But like you're never gonna survive contact with players. And I also encourage beer and pretzels, silly ha-has, as long as you're not like stupid and over the top.
If you're running away with story, then it's a problem. But like if we're using it. One of the things, having done so much theater and being around an audience, is that over time, when we're watching things together and we're all watching a story, we're actually, our brains and breath, proven scientifically, begin to function together. Twitch is interesting because we're not in a room together, so we can't read those signals. But we still share in that like expressive like process together, I feel like, and being on the same page. Anyways, that's my spiel.
Yeah, and there's also, like, I mean, behind the scenes, we have the Zoom window, and, like, I don't know about everyone else, but there are times where, like, I'm private messaging Dot, like, hey, I'm going to do some dumb shit, or, like, I'm messaging, like, Gnome, like, hey, we're in a scenario right now that, like, either you're going to do some dumb shit or I'm going to do some dumb shit, and he's like, I got this, and then he goes off and, you know, locks me in a room or something like that, or tries to sacrifice himself to ghosts in space ghosts, coast.
But yeah, so I love the chatter at the table because, like, laughter and things like that help alleviate high tensions of stress, which is what we're doing when we're telling a story. And so it adds to comfortability at the table. So like never stifle the moments that your players and the table are having together, even if they're kind of jokey and funny, because you'll know me, like we'll have it and then I will like jerk you right back into it.
For sure.
I think just like in life, it's good to have a balance of everything. You don't want too much serious. You don't want too much comedy. A good show and a good life is a balance of everything. So I think it's good to have a good amount of laughter along with a good amount of tears and a good amount of what the fuck moments, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. And there have definitely been episodes where we've left like laughing hysterically and then we just bullshit and hang out and tell funny jokes afterwards. And there have also been episodes where we've left and we're like, oh God, woof. I am exhausted.
I need to go sleep.
I am exhausted. And then we just hang out and chat. We're like, I'm tired. Can we talk about the scene that made us all tired? Like the one where Sewell killed his own brother. Can we talk about that for 45 minutes and be sad about it?
So you should know Sewell, or Paul sent me Sewell's flashback because I asked them all for a flashback first. He was the first one, and I was like, we're not starting with that.
Oh, yeah, no, that had to be last. Yeah, I think...
I was like, we are not starting with that. Because
you had come out and said, hey, I think this is going to be the episode for Sewell's, and then it didn't actually happen for like 3 more episodes.
Yep.
I'm so glad it didn't happen for 3 more episodes.
Me
like,
too.
The fact that it didn't happen to like episode 9 makes it that much better. Like, it was such a more of a slow burn.
Yep. The idea to add the flashbacks was part of something... something I do as a GM is usually after the first 4 or 5 episodes, I check in with everybody. I'm like, how do you feel about your character? Do you want to make changes? Now's the time if you're going to make change, like major change. And how are we all feeling? What do we need more of? What do we need less of? And so I asked them all, and I kept getting this response of like, we want more character development. Like, we want more character. And I was like, cool. How do we feel about flashbacks? Because I would like to add them as part of this like storytelling process. And so that's how it kind of came about. And so they all came to the table kind of with their own idea of what they thought was that important moment of a flashback that like defines a character, at least for where they are in their current phase. And so I wanted to work really hard to weave those into the story in a way that wasn't distracting and didn't feel off, but added to the current moment in time by flashing back to something in the past, because that's what flashbacks really are supposed to be about.
I really, really love the whole flashback idea, because I think a good show, whatever it's TV, a play, an opera, whatever, people need to get invested into the characters. And obviously you can get invested as you're playing, but if you know about their history, you're like, you can relate. Like you can be like the whole thing with Tal and her sister and like covering up for your older sister or younger sister and like protecting your siblings. Like when she was telling your story, I had flashbacks of when my brother did that for me. And I'm just like, damn, like, fuck, like I care, you know? And then same with Mike and Tamir, and like Tamir making mistakes about the whole packages and stuff, being innocent to the real world of Coriolis. Like that was me when I first went to New York for job interviews and stuff. And I didn't know what was going on. Like,
and you got played by people around you and you had no idea. Yeah.
It's all about being able to relate to the characters. I think that's what people love about certain characters, is because you can relate to them. You can latch onto them.
Well, and I was looking for themes throughout. And what was really interesting is kind of across the characters, we started to get this theme of like siblings and family, like across the baseline of like, it's such a part of human experience, because Coriolis is a game about humans in space, like humans trying to survive. It's not about really aliens and a massive takeover. It's about our survival, basically. And so
day-to-day problems.
It's day-to-day problems. And as humans, the thing that always sets us apart is that level of humanity. And so much of humanity is tied to how you were brought up and how you were raised and the people that were part of that. And so it was really interesting that everybody's families in different ways, whether they're alive now or not, were just such a huge part of it. So it was something that a theme I picked up, and I was like, well, we're running with this because...
Well, speaking of siblings, I loved, and this is just probably already said multiple times, but like Malik and Tamir's like back and forth, like their dynamic as brothers, you felt like they were really like brothers. It wasn't just like 2 actors playing a role. Like I felt like you guys, and you can tell that Mike and Joey know each other by the way.
I was about to say that's because they're brothers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll be honest. I don't think we're role playing.
Yeah, not.
So little effort is going
for each other.
When you get to that level of comfort and you're playing with people that you know, like it bleeds through your acting and through your role playing. And it just amplifies it so much. It was just really fun to watch that.
I will say, in that same vein, speaking of that specific roleplay and tabletop stories in general, I met Joey a year ago. So, like, play tabletop with your friends, man. Like I've been playing with Dot for over a year, and like I've been checking on Dot's channel. She's been checking on my channel. We've been on shows together before, but like I was aware that Joey existed like a year and a half ago, but we'd never ever played together. We barely interacted, and then we like bumped into each other at a convention and said hi, and that was it. And then like a year after that, we like hung out at a convention, and now we're literal brothers. So I mean, play tabletop games and make friends with.
Wait, was it Cigars in Indianapolis that did it?
I think Cigars in Indianapolis was the first time we actually hung out at all.
I know it was the first time I had met
friends.
Yeah, it was the first time I had met Noam in person. I had met Mike before, but yeah. Cigars in Indianapolis was a jam up.
Where did I bump it? I bumped into you at Gen Con 2 years ago, right? I think something along those lines. Yeah.
No. Gen Con last year was my first Gen Con.
I don't know where I bumped into you. Oh, I bumped into you at PAX Unplugged.
PAX Unplugged.
I hugged you for 2 seconds, and then that was it. And then I never saw you again. And then I met you.
2-second hug, appropriate.
And then I met you at Gen Con for cigars.
Very cis straight.
Yeah.
Very cis appropriate.
I mean, let's be real here.
Nice to meet you.
Wow, Joe. Way to call him out.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure to paint you a picture here. I'm pretty sure I picked Speedy up off of my lap to go give you a hug. So
that might be true.
Let's gay that scene up a little bit.
That's probably true.
Question for Dot.
I hate you, Mike.
Did Amira know the bodies the Corsairs were picking up outside Hammurabi were filled with drugs?
Ooh.
No.
That's that fucking smile. That's that smile. You just fucking did that thing?
No.
That you did?
She did not know that there were drugs.
Fuck, that was so
Okay,
fun.
so here's the alert. Spoiler alert for you that don't want spoilers.
Yep.
Mute your sound.
No one's going to mute.
Great, perfect. So she is obviously a pirate. That's well known. Not a spoiler. The ship, the Corsair, is her.
Amira is the dancer, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The ship, the Corsair, is her ship. What you all don't know, because you didn't quite spend enough time in the Hamira system, is that it is overrun with pirates. They've been taking a chill at the moment thanks to the massive explosion from a portal where ships died and one went into the sun. But the fact of the matter is she's been leading that, and she's been hiding out for months on the outskirts. Amira is not her real name.
Love it.
Right, no, but we know though because Soul's dad slips up.
Yeah.
Soul's dad slips up, and she yes, he did slip up.
Yeah.
And I wrote that on purpose. And then so she's been out there hanging out, posing basically as a dancer to run an underground pirate ring that has made that. Remember before you guys came here, they were like, "Oh, Hamira's kind of rough. Be careful."
Mm-hmm.
So if you had stayed in Hamira, you could have gotten into a whole storyline based around the pirates and then raiding. That was the other thing. You didn't do a lot of like looking into the miners that were on like station side that come up to that station, the Hammurabi station. You would have found out like vessels as they're trying to come back and forth are being looted and things like that. So when the ships exploded and so the drug ring worked like this. The Consortium is giving bodies, shipping them off to Taoan, where they're loading them full of unrefined powder. Oh my God, what's that stuff called? From the red ants. Umbra, thank you. And it's being moved back to Coriolis in bodies, where it's being processed and then moved back in bodies. That's why half the bodies had something in it and half the bodies did not.
Yep.
Huh.
And so what happened was when those vessels that were headed in that were storing these bodies planned to get to Taoan, nobody knew the ships were going to explode when they went through a portal, dumped all these bodies. So her ship and her pirates started moving them in because there's no telling what you can find on people's bodies in space. It's just a thing. So they were going to basically be grave robbers, and what they found
was a mother load. And half these bodies had drugs in them and they had no idea.
Yeah.
And so they offered the bodies over after raiding the outside of them, not thinking to look on the inside. And that's when the doctor found them on the inside of the bodies.
Yeah.
So that's kind of basically like the Ghazali was moving these bodies and then it exploded and they were having to dump cargo. The freighter vessel that exploded was dumping cargo. So there was like this whole backstory I had written that none of you knew anything about.
And that's when Sewell talked to the dancer.
And that's when Sewell talked to the dancer.
The doctor stabbed in the chest. And now that's why we have a doctor on board.
No, don't. Fuck you. Okay, that was not my
No,
Okay.
you have a doctor on board because you...
Question from Mike for Dot. Is the doctor's condition, besides
Obviously,
corruption
spoiler is
bars,
over. Is that cool?
directly related to
The doctor's
Paul
insanity.
talking to her?
The doctor's insanity can be directly linked to Sewell's actions. The doctor being aboard your vessel is linked to the fact that you gave her your number.
I didn't give her my number.
You did that. Yes, you did.
I don't remember that.
You
That
you made it
sounds fair.
very clear to leave contact information. That's why when you got on Coriolis, your messages pinged because she had been leaving them for you.
That makes sense. That sounds like something I would do.
So
I'm
my
just
question
saying-
is this: which action was much more easier to avoid? My entire, one-on-one with this crazy assassin where I was trapped, I didn't know what to do, or Mike giving away a number.
To
I'm
be
just
fair,
saying.
to be
I'm
fair,
just saying.
to be fair, the only reason she's on the ship is because when she pinged me, she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and also I got the opinion that she was a mystic, which both of the cuckoo and the mystic are directly related to being stabbed. So if she wasn't stabbed, I would never have invited her on the ship. Actually, she wouldn't even be.
Coriolis
She
anyways.
wouldn't
They
even be
shipped
on
her there to
Coriolis.
treat her.
Mike.
Yes, she would.
With her for the moment we
They
stepped
shipped her
onto
to
the station.
Coriolis. They shipped her to Coriolis to treat her.
Right.
And
but
then
I'm
when
saying
she got
if she hadn't been stabbed, she would have never been on Coriolis at all.
You know what?
That's also
Fuck it,
true.
I'll take responsibility.
It's your
my
fault, Paul. That's
Fuck you.
why. Thank you.
To answer this quick one in chat because it's related to this.
Paul, I guess.
What's been plaguing you for weeks is why the
off.
Corsair would bring the mules onto the station just to steal the drugs back. Lightning, they didn't know there were drugs in those mules. They thought they were just dead bodies. They
Yeah.
were going to just raid dead bodies. And pirates still have to play the game, right? So basically the way I envision it is they found all these dead bodies. They looted them for what was in their pockets and that kind of stuff, if anything, and then found nothing. And so to keep them off their backs, they came to the security on the station and said, we're here are these bodies.
Yeah.
They're labeled to go to Coriolis, right? Like, don't make yourself more guilty than you have to be, because the reason that high-end, colonel or general was on board, the one that Malik talked to, is because they were there investigating the pirates.
That makes sense.
There's a lot going on. Damn.
There was a lot going on in that station that I knew about that you guys never even touched, but it set up such a beautiful foundation for what we did get out of it. So that's why she was an important character. And then I made the decision to tie her, because she's a pirate, to the one person that can help her move things, drugs not included, obviously, because your father doesn't deal in drugs, Sewell.
Right.
But I thought it was the perfect tie-in to tie her to the syndicate as a means of next step of moving whatever she finds in space.
Well, in the same vein, we have a question from Mad King Midas. For Dot, what has been the most polarizing incident in a game that made you go, wow, I really made them believe this story?
It was...
I don't like that smile that just happened.
It was.
I don't like this question.
It was actually a pretty proud GM moment. Thanks to Paul.
The fuck?
The episode where we got Malik's backstory, and Paul and Malik had this brilliant role played scene at the top where Sewell was reminding him, you've put your brother in danger. You've put your brother in danger. Are you even thinking about what you're doing? Which was so interesting because that was Paul's way of providing Sewell's backstory of not being able to protect his brother, which none of you knew about yet. I knew about, but none of you did. And then it was the perfect way to seed Mike's story and him falling asleep into that fever dream and cryostasis of him being you need to protect your brother. You need to protect your brother, which...
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was fucking
Remember
weird.
that? And then you came out of it and you were like, there's no way you could have planned that, because I did not plan what I was going to say. And I was like, I know. And it was a proud GM moment for me. And it was the one that I thought just really sold Malik and Sewell as parallels to each other in a weird kind of way.
No, I see that. Yeah,
Totally.
And so it almost connected the two characters for the first time in the game. At least for me, from like an audience perspective, I thought it was a really nice connection of the two, to have this basis of like one of them's already fallen and failed to protect their brothers, and one of them is trying so desperately but failing, and it's watching it happen again.
See, that's interesting. That's a very interesting take on it, because I agree that we're parallels, but I see it as like parallels that are opposite, right? Is like, so whereas Sewell realized the only way to save you is and get you out of this whole life is to kill you.
Is to kill you.
Right.
It's like the literal term of it.
Whereas, so he sacrificed his brother to save his brother, essentially.
Right. And hidden behind the guise for his father, which is the part we did not get to, that he did it to save the mission.
Yeah. So
he lives the lie of why he really did it.
Yeah. Whereas I think Joey and I actually had a conversation after the last episode about Malik, and he's the opposite. He will take on any burden possible to make Tamir's life better or easier, or at least perceived to be better or easier. And that's how he thinks he's doing the right thing, is by if I think what our conversation boiled down to was like, if people think that Malik is a piece of shit, then even at Tamir's worst, he's still better than Malik. And that's really all that matters, kind of thing.
Right, right. Lifting your brother up. Yeah.
And I think that's where the parallel and the opposites really attract. It like makes sense though, because like Not said, is like Souls is the failure of what he tried to do, because he thought this was the right way, but it obviously isn't the correct way. Yeah. And then Malik is trying what he thinks is the right way. Right. So that's and the thing is, like, Soul accepts that he fails. Right. That's why he is the way he is. While Malik is
that's why he's named his droid after his brother.
Yeah.
That's the same reason why
he's definitely accepted that. I remember watching all of your faces. I remember Mike going, like piecing it together, and he was like, wait a second.
So the whole purpose of that is because Soul, after he did that, went through a mental breakdown and he couldn't function. So the only way for him to function is not that he has such good control of his emotions as an assassin, is that he has such weak control of his emotions that he has to lock it away and just put it away. Yep. That's the only way that he's going to function as a normal person from this point, or his definition of normal, forward. It's like he puts off the face of like, I don't need emotions because I'm a stone cold killer. But the truth is, it's like, I'm so weak with handling my emotions. This was the only method of me functioning afterward.
It's that struggle of humanity, right? Like, what do you lose of yourself when you take the things that define you? When you kill a thing that defines you, like your brother, what is left? Right? And it's if we go all the way back to the very top of this season, when I introduced this and I explained to you guys like why my name's Little Red Dot and why space is so scary, right? And why staring into the nothingness that we don't understand is terrifying, but also exhilarating at the same time. And what loss really is, and how do we come to terms with humanity when we're so small, when we're just a little dot in an entire universe. And I think that just plays so beautifully into that, Paul. Like all of that struggle that each of you are finding with your humanity. I even knew from the beginning I wanted one of them to be a mystic. I didn't know who, but I was going to pitch it eventually, because really the module that I've selected is better if you have at least one mystic, at least people caring about the mysticides.
And someone who can heal.
And somebody that can heal. So nobody had really said anything about it. So I reached out to Eris, which was really interesting. And I was like, how do you feel about this? Because I loved this concept of a story where maybe her parents were not as accepting, that they were disbelievers of the mystics and believed them ill and sick and unworthy, and what kind of struggle that would be if both children ended up being awakened as mystics.
I think that's such a good choice too.
I had planned that when she started telling me about her parents. I was like, it was very personal to me, because I come from a small town and my parents are wonderful humans. Like, as people, they're good people, but they're small-minded. And when you're living in a place where everybody's lives are based around fear and terror and the darkness encroaching, when something changes or becomes different, that flaw of humanity says we have to shun it. And so much of the mysticides and what's about to happen is built on this idea of like, we have to cleanse the world or the human existence of the mystics, because they're not really human in any way. They are tainted by the darkness. And so older parents, people that lived through the portal wars, right, or were there possibly for some of it, may not be as trusting. And what does it mean to look at the things that you love, your daughters, and recognize that they are now on the opposite side of the line, right? It's the coming out story in essence, to some degree. And so I wanted that for Tao because I thought it would be very, very interesting, since she had a beautiful, loving relationship with her family that I wanted to destroy by the darkness.
Great, thanks.
Speaking,
I tried to give my characters nice backstories because mine was shit, and good relationships with their parents because I don't have mine, and then you just tear them away from me.
And the thing is like they're struggling too. I think that was one of the moments I really wanted to land at the end of the season. Is like it's obviously not that your parents don't love you. They showed up, your mother hugged you and she kissed you. It's about the struggle that everybody is coming to terms with what this could possibly mean. And do we even accept it? If we can just cure it, right? Everything will be better. So I'm going to just keep hoping to cure it. They're going to come back. She's going to save our other daughter, and it's going to be perfect. And so that level of denial that comes with the acceptance of something like this is really where your mother is at. Your father's coping a little bit better. But it was really interesting to watch Tamir learn that information.
Yeah.
First.
Sorry.
It's really interesting.
It's cool. It's cool. We're gonna have a long chat.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I was like. I love it when all of you do make really genuine choices, like such as go to the library. You don't even think about running into her mother and then spilling the beans, because the scene coming out of that, it's well worth it.
On the topic of ripping out Tal's heart. Okay.
Hold on. I also want to say in that same parallel, he had literally just stopped yelling at his brother for doing things for him.
Yep.
And then he goes and tells Tal's mom.
Yep.
Without talking to Tal first.
There's so many.
He's never broached the subject. They never actually talked about it.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many like relatable things in all of our characters I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Like nobody here is perfect or even close to being good. Like there's so many flaws in every character.
Tal is actually good.
Okay. She's a good person.
Yeah.
She is good. She's
troubled.
I don't think anyone's genuinely
make the correct decision for.
Yeah.
No, none of you chose to go this like I'm a bad guy space agent and I'm here to kill everybody. I mean, Sewell's had to kill people, but when we learn about why Sewell, he's forced. What we haven't learned is his family and his brothers have been forced into servitude. Mm-hmm. Manipulated even the way that, say, maybe Malik was, or Tamir was supposed to be, and Malik took up that mantle. But I think it's super relatable in that.
Like Malik is doing bad for a good reason, at least in his head. He's doing bad.
And I think all of you are. It's like, I got to work for the syndicate, but I'm working for the syndicate to save my brother. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like there's so many. All of you are not bad people. You are working for bad people. Mm-hmm.
That just comes back to the whole topic of humanity, because humanity isn't black and white.
Yeah,
it's complex.
Yep. We
do things because we think they're right, but right and wrong is merely perspective.
Yeah.
You know what? So I'm going to skip a question real quick. I like this question. Are there going to be more backstories in season 2? I don't want to speak for Dot, but I kind of hope not. Right? Like, no more flashbacks. Like, you got your flashbacks in season 1 to reveal backstory, but going forward, now you have enough information with the characters that now this is their journey beyond that kind of point. Like, I don't see the need for another flashback for Malik. I think we're good. At least from a player's perspective. If backstory gets revealed throughout the course of like a genuine conversation, sure. But like, I don't feel the need to have another flashback for my character.
Also, I think our characters are close enough where we can now reveal our past in roleplay rather than just like doing flashbacks. Like Saul will eventually have the conversation with Tamir of why, like, it's pretty obvious why he cares so much about Tamir, and he will have the conversations because I've had brothers, because I lost my brothers, and like the flashbacks will come into dialogue, and I think that will impact the future characteristics
Sure.
further.
So
I'm not opposed to flashbacks.
So from a GM perspective, I use the flashbacks as a storytelling mechanism.
Same.
Now we have a character with premonition. We will not be looking back.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll be looking
that.
forward.
I like that.
Right?
Also-
Season 2 is about looking towards like what is the future? What is a premonition? And how do we write our own destiny, kind of, is what this is like, just because something is said to be, does it become, or can our choices change destiny?
Also, I think you hit a point in character development where you straddle the line between what is like actual role playing and what is just blatant exposition.
Yes.
And I think we're there, right? Like a great thing was at the end of episode 12 when there was a small moment at the very end where Malik slips out of the ship and talks to Tal's dad, and then it ends. And there's no description about why that happened or what that was about. And I feel like that's fine. And if someone asks him about that, I think that's exposition, and he's going to lie to you. But, like, behind the scenes, Joey texted me, like, 45 minutes after the episode, and it was like, what the hell was that about? And then we had, like, a 2-hour-long conversation about what the hell that was about and why Malik did that. And that goes back to the whole why Malik, if Malik is a piece of shit, at a minimum, Tamir looks better than him, unless he, like, is an actual terrorist. Because if you watch Malik... If you watch Malik throughout all of the episodes, anytime he does something good, it's alone. It's off camera. It's without the rest of the crew.
Leaving his phone number for a doctor?
Yeah. Anytime he does something that's, like, genuine and, like, a good person, like rescuing the doctor. It happened off camera, and then he's like, hey, guys, I brought a doctor. Oh, wacky Malik. What's he gonna do? And everyone was like, Malik, what the fuck? As opposed to, like, hey, great job, man. And if you watch that scene, at one split second, Tamir goes, I think you did something good. And I brushed it over completely, and then switched back to Tal yelling at me because there's no
something
good stuff.
Sewell and Malik share. Facades. They both wear a facade.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I think that's really cool. I think that's part of the parallel that I like between the two characters, and it's what differentiates our characters entirely.
I will also say, if you guys want to have moments like that where you ask the characters, you can join the Discord and have discussions. Just
also
plug it in there.
I'll also say, as a GM, the flashbacks were also one of the things that I love doing as a GM is one-on-one. I love one-on-one games.
Oh yeah.
And I knew that it was going to take us all 12 episodes to get to just a launching off point for this fucking story. So I knew that an entire episode with each one was not going to work. So I used the flashbacks as a means also to just get to do a one-on-one with the players for a short period of time.
I think having it be a scene like that, like a 20-minute scene, was fucking choice. That was perfect. I think a whole episode would have been too much.
So much.
Given how much shit was going on.
Exactly. So, for example, like if we had done Sewell's entire 2-hour episode, we would have actually. I was about to say we would have watched him and his brother do the mission.
Yeah.
And the end of the session would have been what you saw in the flashback, and then it would have picked up real time with him stabbing Tamir.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would have been a lot, and in terms of the way the pacing, for example, did the pacing need that much? No. All we needed to see was him stab his brother.
Yeah.
We needed to set up the escalade of the heightened experience of them doing a mission together. I love you, brother. I love you. You're the best brother. Die. Get
wrecked. There's also there's a never-ending supply of opportunities for even smaller flashbacks from the player perspective, right? Like at any given moment, any one of us could be doing an action and then engage in their own flashback where they see themselves doing a similar action, and then you see around them some crazy shit goes down, and they kind of blink and rub their eye, and they're like, fuck it, I gotta do this
We've
thing.
also got space sickness and stuff, and a lot of the mental piece of the Coriolis game build that we've not dived as into yet. Had you pissed off the Xene, you guys would have been. So, because it basically messes with your mind. It just degrades your mental state over time. It's a demon, for Pete's sake. So that's also one way that we can do some of these flashbacks, right? Like when the mind starts to go, what it connects to as it's losing itself are the most powerful points, like the big memories. So it may trigger something as you go into a dark place, kind of the way Sewell's backstory actually triggered. So there may be opportunity for it, but I would way rather play on the kind of absurd big concept premonitions moving into the future, because I think that that's going to be a lot more interesting storytelling, specifically for Tao.
Oh shit!
I love this one. Question for Dot: what was your favorite point where the crew messed things up? Messed things up. Everything you had planned, if anything. I just want to say before Dot answers, y'all remember that time we spent 3 whole episodes on the Hamura space station? We were supposed to spend 1.
You remember that time that we jumped from the Hamura station into Taoan and we had a 30% chance of doing it?
And we nailed it.
That was 2.
When we agreed
With a critical success. I'll tell you the one thing that really fudged me, because they found out a lot more. So them going to Taoan was based on the fact that they all found out a lot more information than they were supposed to. And that was based on off of critical role that Mike made for Malik to data Xene old information and piece it together to try to figure it out. That is the single reason that they got extreme amounts of information about the white butterfly, about the first horizon piece. They were not supposed to get till they got back to Coriolis. That critical role was so impactful in terms of what they learned. They were never supposed to go to Taoan. The module does not have your crew going to Taoan. So everything from leaving the Hammurabi station and jumping into Taoan and back to Coriolis, none of that I had planned. Like the latter half of the campaign, I had to replan because that was not part of it.
Oh shit. That's wild.
I will say, I love how low-key mad Joey gets whenever I crit. Because I only crit on the most bullshit reasons. I'm like, Doc, I'm going to hack the entire planet and get all the information we need. You're like, sure you are. Go right ahead.
Of course you
Boom,
are.
4 successes. You're like, fuck.
And here's the thing. I actually think for most of your critical successes, they've been re-rolls because you've given me the darkness point.
Yes.
Yes,
they have been.
Yeah. But they're all things that are like
dumb moments.
Like I think every single one of my crits has resulted in us getting more than we should have had at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Just the dumbest shit.
Yep.
Then Mike says, sorry, I'm awesome all the time. I don't know what you want from me. Oh, man.
Such an ass.
So just so everybody knows, I'm going into season 2 with 12 darkness points. I will be spending some of them to activate story aspects. So some of them will get used, but there they are, all 12 of them.
I will say, Dot, if you end season 2 with darkness points, you have to come back for season 3 to spend them.
Great. So what I'm hearing is I need to spend all of them this upcoming season.
Damn it, Mike. It backfired.
Question for Tao. Has there been any moments when Tao was strongly debating the welfare of the ship over the crew?
Ooh.
Every moment.
I was going to say, did you see the campaign?
So here's the thing, is that Tal realizes that she needs Malik and Sewell in order to complete the mission that she needed to do. If nothing else, because she understood that it's... Can you stop, please, both of you?
Such dicks.
I just want to say, Mike, we're useful.
Right.
She needs extra people to help protect Tamir.
Yep. I remember.
That's it.
I remember you coming to me because I remember us talking about how important the ship was, and then when we had the flashback, obviously we recognized why. It's your literal home, the only home you've ever known. Yeah. But I remember after it was like episode 2 or 3, somewhere early in it, I got a message from you that was like, Dot, I think that Tao has feelings for Tamir.
That was like episode 2.
It was like episode 2.
Was
it?
1 or 2.
It was so amazing, and it was something that we had not planned at all. And it was really interesting because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that what happened was you made it was like a natural character instinct to protect him.
Yeah.
And that's when you realized how important he was, because you chose to protect him over, say, the ship or the thing that you thought was most important to Tao. And it was this really beautiful moment. And you're like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, message Gnome. Get on that story.
I want to say I have been waiting for this, the hashtag Talmir, for the entire game, because after Aris messaged Gnome texted me and was like, Aris and I are talking, we might have a thing. And I was like, spill everything. He's like, I can't spill anything yet, we haven't figured it out yet. And I was like, fuck, I need to know everything.
So, I need to know all the details. And so,
Here's the thing, is that I was like, well, for whatever reason, while I was role-playing Tal, she had this natural, like, I must protect Tamir moment. And I was like, well, why would she feel this way? And I was like, well, you know, I mean, Tamir's a pretty smart guy. He seems like a sweetheart. He's really intelligent. They probably get along pretty well. They're roughly the same age.
And he's ruggedly handsome and yet soft.
Exactly. Totally something that I feel like Tal would go for. But at the same time, Tamir is her intern. So when I messaged Gnome, I was like, look, if you're not interested at all in this being a thing, that's fine. We just won't mention it ever. But Tal has something for Tamir. And that it just kind of went from that.
I am going to put you both on blast real quick. In a positive light. So, Joey,
oh God,
you don't normally play, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't normally play any kind of character with vested romantic interests typically.
Ever.
Is that correct? Yeah, right? Okay.
Yep, that's usually like a line or a veil for me.
Perfect. So, everyone, this is a fucking hot tip right here. Talk to your fucking players, right?
Yep.
You can make this happen. There are shit that, like, Joey and I have worked out behind the scenes that we've just brought into the game. Obviously, Talmir was talked about behind the scenes before it just happened in the game. It was talked to with Dot to make sure, like, talk to people. Like, make sure they're okay with shit before you just jump it in there.
The second time this season on both my Viking show and this show where I have had players tell me that they never do romance in games.
I don't either.
That was me on the Viking show too.
Then I had 2 people from the Viking show message me about it, because so did another person.
Yeah.
About it. That was like, I never do romantic stuff. It's always a line or a veil for me. And so as personally speaking, I'm actually going through my first time having a real romantic thing in a campaign that I'm a part of. And so it makes me very happy as a GM to know that the table is comfortable enough for you to explore that, and for you to be able to say, I don't want to do this, or I do want to do this. I don't know. It just makes my heart swell, because romance comes in many forms. That's what I'm learning too. I think it doesn't have to look one way or another. Like, we may never see Tao and Tamir kiss.
But we will always use the hashtag, let my people
But we may always use the hashtag. But I think what we're saying is, it doesn't sometimes romance on screen and in gameplay feels like you need to do more. But the really passionate things and the stuff that speaks for itself does that. It speaks for itself. So I encourage you, if you have romance at your table, like when Eris came to me and she's like, I don't know what to do with this. The first thing I said is, well, we need to rope in the other player. This is not a secret.
Yep.
This is not something that should be a secret. So be real about it and trust your players to handle it. So that they can, in a mature way, so that they can still role play it very naturally and organically, but also know that they got each other's backs.
Yep. There is,
and I think that's important. Okay.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I think that's important to kind of continue reiterating though. Like, Eris and I check in on each other regularly with it. Like, is this okay? Do we want to do this? Are we looking towards this? Like, we feel
I know
okay about
it is not my job.
Constant.
It is not my job to force their romance.
Right.
This is a story arc that they've produced.
And so I never set them up for it. They set themselves up for it. That's another thing. It is not your job as a GM to drive the romantic storyline.
Now, I will say, bear in mind, people, we have our Twitter group chat, which is where we talk about the game, that we discuss this thing. So we're basically constantly checking in on each other, both in character and out of character, to see what's going on in your life. And then we each have, like, I know I've talked to Joey back and forth, and we've discussed things. I've talked to Paul a few times. Aris and Joey are obviously talking about certain things. So, like, check in with your group, check in with individual people that you're having, important scenes with, check in with your GM, make sure they're not losing their goddamn mind, because you keep doing chaotic things. But, like, if you have a secret and only you know it, you don't have a secret. And you can put that on a goddamn quilt. If your character has a secret,
secrets don't matter if nobody knows about them.
100%.
Yep.
If your character is the only person that knows the secret, it doesn't exist in the course of the game. And for you to just jam your secret in there, it doesn't make any narrative sense, and you've just made everyone be like, "Oh, that was weird."
It's
a
little selfish. It's a little selfish.
It's a little
You're
selfish.
injecting your opinion without the consult. Like, the thing that I've learned from playing with these four amazing people is that this is a collective story and a collective project that we are all working on. Dot is the GM. Mike is the host that brought of the channel. We're players, but there's no difference in weight. Everyone shares a shared responsibility, and everyone shares a same level of, I guess responsibility, and to make this project
responsibility
work,
for the story.
we are all equal. It's 1/5 of the project, and I think because when I used to play D&D, when I was a player, I felt like just a player with no say in. So if I had an idea that I wanted to do, I wouldn't voice it because it's like, they might not care, or it's not worth it. Right. But that's the point. You are a 1/5 of a show. That means you have 1/5 of an opinion. You have 1/5 of the rights to share that opinion.
No, you have a whole opinion.
You have a
whole opinion.
You have a whole opinion.
You know what I mean, though.
You have a whole opinion that makes it, a fifth of the pie.
You have you're equal. Damn it. But you guys get it.
Sorry, buddy. You only get fifth. Only a fifth of your opinions.
Only a fifth of the opinion.
I think the point
you
is,
can have a whole opinion, but only a fifth matters.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's what I meant to say. What I want to say is, like, me as a new player coming into a stranger's group, like, that's very important. And I think that's the reason why we've made such amazing story arcs here, is because we were also open and honest with our thoughts, opinions, and just talking about it, Yeah. So a little tidbit from a noob, there's no harm in asking. There's no harm in talking.
Yep.
There's absolutely no harm. Just do it. Don't be a bitch.
Don't be a bitch. Hashtag facts. Don't be a bitch.
But only a fifth of that matters.
Yeah.
But only a fifth of your opinion.
Of a bitch. There you go.
Only a fifth
that
of it.
doesn't count at all if you're a Stitch bitch.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're a full on.
And if you're a Stitch bitch on Twitch.
Damn it.
If you're a Stitch bitch on Twitch without a switch.
Right.
Without a switch, no switch. I'm not a switch bitch.
Eris, you have to get a switch, though. We have to somehow get you a switch, because I actually got a sewing machine in the game, and I'm just waiting for you to
Me
get
too.
it, so
I got one today, and I was like, I'm hanging on to this for Eris. I thought that.
I don't have Switch money. I mean, I'm.
Yep, go to airsavant.com.
Yep.
That's okay, because
Go get yourself some cool dice things.
I actively haven't checked my mail in a week and a half because I'm afraid that Joey bought the game and sent it to me. So...
With what unemployment
Perfect.
money?
Great.
Yeah,
That's what I'm like. I'm like, man.
I love you, bro.
I was like, thank God we're all broke.
I love you, bro, but I don't love you that much.
I got a mortgage that was due days ago, so.
I'm like, thank God we're all broke and no one can send me this stupid game. Oh, God.
Look, if you were gonna send Mike the game, just send it to me instead, please.
Yeah, there you go.
I will
won't even play
appreciate it so much more.
Mike doesn't even want to play it. He's like, screw it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's capitalism, the game, but with adorable animals.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
What do you think your space game is?
Yeah.
Isn't it space capitalism?
Yeah.
No.
Capitalism, but we don't like it when it's on
There's
us.
no capitalism.
Well, let me tell you what Dot does in space.
Yeah,
I
God,
collect
your
things,
space
I
game is
sell it.
capitalism.
And I make a lot of creds.
No. Joey and I are wet warriors, and we traverse
Okay,
the galaxy,
conversation's over.
And they
shooting
build bases
aliens,
together.
and we build bases.
Bleh.
Yeah.
But
Boring. I have a lot of money,
where's
a
the
lot of ships, a
capitalism there?
freighter. That's because I'm reigning supreme at the capitalism in space. You guys can continue to have your base.
You
your
have
little,
a galactic. You're a galactic overlord.
You're just basic space bitches.
And we are.
Your
we
little
are
wet base
your
game.
little
Those
wet
who don't know,
bitches.
they're talking about
Okay.
No Man in the Sky. For those
No
who
Man's
don't know.
Sky.
No
Okay.
Man in
You yeah, No Man in the Sky.
It's over here.
Yeah,
like-
That's
talking about
actually
the
Joey and Mike. The No Man in the Sky. That's them.
Okay. It's
No
I'm
Man
no.
in
the
space.
real man in the sky who's owning capitalism.
It's No Mansky is the name of the game. Okay.
It's just Nomansky. Nomansky. It's Nomansky.
I like
Tell me
how.
game we're
I like how that inside joke. So I'm
It's
gonna
a
let
thing now.
I'm gonna let everyone in on the
Trigger
on the
dot
Nomansky
org.
joke.
Don't.
No, it's completely.
Awful.
It's no the Nomansky one, not the Wet Warriors thing.
I don't want to talk Wet Warriors.
So Nomansky is
Everybody wants to talk about
anytime,
Warriors.
anytime Joey and I are playing the game and we don't know an answer to something, I will ask my Google Home device the answer, and it will say, according to the website nomansky.com, this is the answer. And so now we refer to the game as Nomansky.
As Nomansky.
Because it's all one word.
Yeah, it's just this kind of like hefty, Polish guy off on 8th Street or something.
That's my buddy
Hey,
Nomansky.
Nomansky at the end of
How
the
much-
block.
This cadmium.
I don't know. I'm not a capitalist.
I would have no idea.
I would also like to note that this show has produced a very strong friendship with this cast. So again, don't be a bitch. Go play your games. Talk to your cast. Talk to your crew. Have a good time. Because at the end of the day, when you're having a good time, it produces a good show.
Yeah.
Stories matter, people.
And
Stories
People
matter.
matter.
People matter.
Hashtag Wet
Well,
Warrior.
but not before stories, Eris. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Listen,
fine.
only 1/5 of your personhood matters, okay?
Okay, Mike.
Oh, hold on.
Mike.
We're getting into.
I just want to say there's 5 people in this call, so
That's right.
Fair. Okay. So
Oh,
one
gosh.
your whole person matters, but only 1/5 of your opinion. I got it. Okay. That's
Yeah.
Great, perfect, awesome. Whole person
you.
gets of opinions. Yeah, no, but I have to say, it was funny. Like, I think I put this in the Discord the other day when Mike came to me. He's like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna do Coriolis, but I've only got me, you, and Joey."
Oh yeah.
I was like, "Well, I can't run it with just 2 of you." He's like, "Well, I need more players." And I was like,
You
"What?" I mean, I could have. Could you have imagined Malik and Tamir do space?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I imagine it all the
You know
time.
what- Okay, you know what would have been an insane? I just thought, what would have been insane? What if you did a Stranded in Space with 2 brothers, and it's just their dynamic of
Stop.
Do you know
you're
what
describing
immediately-
Joey's exact fantasy of living lost in space out combined with
I
the
would run
Fullmetal
that game.
Alchemist.
I would
run that game, and I would run it like the story of Cain and Abel, and
Oh,
only
God.
one of them will make it out
No
at the
way.
end.
I'm out.
Yes.
That'd be
Yep.
so
I'm out.
I'm in that.
Oh
I'm
my
fucking
God.
in. I'm
That'd be
fucking
so
in.
good.
Yes.
Only
No.
one of them can make it out at the end.
No-
Psychological,
the entire
like a
time.
psychological isolation story of
Yeah.
what being alone in space with one other person can do to a person. That'd be
Yep.
insane.
Yep. Yep. That's that degradation of humanity.
I'm out.
Come
But that being said, I was like, I know 2 people. I want to obviously always want to game with Eris. So I was like, more Eris, please. And then I was like, I got this other guy. I've been promising this dude for a while we're going to game together again. And I've just like not had the opportunity, the right moment, scheduling, those kind of things. And I was like, so I'm going to reach out to this guy, Paul. Mike was like, do I know this Paul? And I was like, you do not. You have to trust me on this one, Mike. And he was like, cool, I do. Okay, was the response. And I was like, cool. And we all came together and it was like magic.
Hi, I'm Paul.
It was like magic.
I'm Paul.
And
it
it was
was
just like
wild.
a crazy moment when we all came to like I remember session 0 being a lot of fun. It was kind of heavy because like Coriolis mechanics can be a lot, especially during setup if you're going as deep as like we were and trying to get the ship together and all this kind of stuff.
I
But
was very lost.
the very first game, it was just like that chemistry just happened. It was like sugar spice, everything nice, and then we dropped in some chemical X and out the other side.
Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was truly the
Really
perfect
excited.
combination of everything. And I remember after the first game, we were so fucking hyped. We chatted in Twitter for like an hour and a half afterwards. Everybody's like, ooh. And every time after that was like, when's more space, please? So yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
said,
I would-
it forged a really dope friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very I don't know if impressed is the right word, but I was very ecstatic about the first episode and how it went down. Because like I had never played with Aris before, and I've seen you play on things, and I didn't even know who Paul was.
Paul.
So I had an expectation of like how Aris played in certain things. So like it was kind of a little bit easier to play off her character, and your like little vignette that you started with in the bar kind of gave us insight into who your character was. But Sewell barely had a vignette, and it was just like, bam, you're with Malik. And
we were just thrown in together.
I did that on purpose.
I low-key forgot that, like, Dot was like, hey, here's Paul, he's new. And I was like, wham! And I just went, like, hard into role-playing. And you were like, okay, and just went with it. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I remembered it afterwards, and I was like, cool. Because I shit on you hard in the first episode, and you were like, dope, and you just went with it. And I was like, oh, that worked. I didn't just terrify that kid and make him not want to play RPGs ever again. So I'm glad that worked out.
I'm self-deprecating in real life, so it's all good. I'm
Same, dude. That's a mood.
We're both from the East Coast.
Yeah, but I liked that like your character played off of, or just was completely like didn't get any of Malik's insults. You just like what? And then it just like rolled off, and I was like, great. This will be a funny dynamic to have, and it was quite a funny dynamic for a while.
I was definitely like shedding bricks.
Yeah.
In the first episode, because I was
shedding bricks.
Yeah, shedding bricks. Like
shitting.
They poop in the mouth.
Shitting. Sorry.
Shit. Yeah. No.
I'm foreign. Please.
He sheds other
You say I'm
things.
foreign?
He sheds other
Sharang's
things.
quote. You can't steal that. That's Sharang's.
That's my favorite.
But yeah, I was really scared.
Love you,
but I
Cheryl.
will say it was like I somewhat made Soul on purpose to be kind of like airheaded, like everything going over his top, to use as an escape mechanism in case I don't know how to respond to something.
It makes sense.
So, because again, I don't know anyone, so I was really worried. But I had a lot of fun, so that's all I gave a shit about.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why I started with you. Like we opened everything up with, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's Mike's double chin on my chest.
Thanks. Thanks. I'm glad I have two of those.
Okay. Just so that you all know.
Thanks. I'm gonna start to work out tomorrow. Apparently. Thank you, Chelsea.
It was much larger than I planned on it being. I thought it was gonna be your face, and it's just chin.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, look at that. But that's why I started with Paul, because I knew that the other three of you had a lot of role play experience, and I wanted you to see Paul role play before you had to interact with him. So that there was a little bit of a comfortability, and never hurts to like shake off the cobwebs and and I knew that Paul was going to bring his A game to the table. He didn't know that.
No, I did not. I was shedding bricks.
You did well.
Yeah. Yep. You did great, and I knew it. I knew it from the beginning. I was like, he's going to be perfect. I need to get him all warmed up.
Yeah, I feel like if we hadn't told people somewhere in the game, and especially today, that like you were newer to role playing, I don't think anyone would have guessed that.
No.
During this campaign, I don't think anyone.
I wouldn't have guessed if you hadn't told me.
Yeah.
I'm blushing.
Yep.
Aww.
I think you
Stop
did
it, you
super,
shit.
You did super well.
Thank you.
It has been a goddamn good time.
It has.
to play
We're
this.
all friends. Do we have more questions, Mike?
We don't have any more questions.
No more questions?
I'm gonna ask a question
fuck.
for everyone. What are you actually? You know what? Everyone but Dot. What are you hoping for in season 2? Dot, I can't ask you because you know what season 2 is.
I can still talk about what I'm looking forward to,
No,
but I
'cause
guess
it's-
instead, what I'm about to do is take a bunch of notes.
That's
Good
fine.
job, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome, team.
Well, I mean, he's asking what we're hoping for, so yeah, that's a good amount of notes to take.
Yeah. So, Aris, since you're talking, what are you hoping for in season 2?
Oh, I don't know. I definitely I can't wait to have that talk with Tamir.
Oh,
That's gonna be
He doesn't want to have that talk.
Wait, which talk with Tamir about the parents thing?
Yeah.
Him telling
about Tamir being a little goddamn tattletale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
I hope that happens episode 1.
Because there's a lot of things that they need to talk about, and
There's a lot of things.
there's a lot of things that Tal and Tamir need to
You
talk
know,
about.
notice Tamir has to talk to a lot of people. He's got to talk to Malik. He's got to talk to Saul.
Yeah,
he's
it's
gotta
because
talk to
everybody cares
Tal.
about because everybody loves Tamir and everybody wants to interact with Tamir and nobody wants to interact with each other because we all suck.
Yep. A group always has to have a heart.
I will say
Tamir is that
It's the heart of the group.
That's true. That's the truth. I will say I don't think that. At least I don't feel. Joey could feel different. I don't think that Tamir and Malik are going to talk about what just happened. Right? I think it's one of those like sibling things, like this in the same way that we physically fought, and then shit went down, and we just kind of like brushed the fight aside and then ignored it. I think the fight that just happened, where like he was like, "Stop making decisions for me," and I was like, "You don't have a fucking choice. I'm your brother." I think that conversation happened, and then there's that tension where like, oh, they need to talk this out, and then we're just not going to do it. And then we're just going to be like, meh, and not forget about it, but like bury it under the rug and then just keep going. And I think,
fight.
but I think that's going to, like, so like you saw like a punch happen and then he sulked, right? They both sulked. And then now it got a little bit bigger back on Coriolis, where he was like, I'm walking away from you. Don't ever do this to me. I might not be coming on this adventure with you. And I think we're going to continue pushing it off. And it's going to, every time it like peaks, it's going to be slightly bigger than the last time. That feels like the most familial thing.
Stop it. Because you can see Dot. Will you shut up and stop talking?
Listen. But yeah,
so what about you? What are you looking forward to?
Me or Joey?
Joey,
what are you looking forward to in season 2?
You said stop talking, so you talk.
That's fair.
Honestly, I have a list. I have to have a conversation, or Tamir has to have a conversation with Tal and Malik and Sul.
What did I just say? Damn.
Yeah, we all need to talk to Tamir. Tamir's just going to be busy talking to everybody.
My question is like,
nobody else is going to talk. It's just Tamir talking to everybody.
Those one-on-one sessions you wanted, looks like you're going to get a 1-on-2 or whatever sessions.
Yep.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. It's you're all going to get your chance to talk to each other.
In that case, Paul, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah.
So, if you guys remember, the beginning of this session, everyone had their own objectives, right? Someone was to protect someone wanted money, somebody wanted drugs, and the other had to complete a task. So for the whole season...
Pretty sure it was just you two.
Okay, so we all had our own
hold
objectives.
on. You and I had to finish the job, and you also needed to get your experience.
Needed
for
to
your
write a
internship.
report.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to write your report.
That's something for my list. Tamir needs to turn in his report.
I thought he did.
No.
Oh, okay. So every character has a specific dynamic that they're trying to reach. However, in season 2, we were all given one objective. So all of season 1, we were all kind of working behind each other's back, trying to figure stuff out. And we got to see how that worked out. I want to see how the group's going to work collectively now that we have one goal. There's no more backstabbing. Everyone got what they wanted. We all have one thing. So I want to see how well or how shitty the group's going to work collectively and what kind of tension that's going to bring. Because now, like, sometimes what Tamir wanted to do, Malik was okay with, because while he was doing that, he was going to go do something. But now let's say Malik and Tamir want the same thing, but they want to do it differently. What's going to happen? You know? So I'm curious to see the group dynamic when they're given one specific goal with one specific mind.
I agree. Like, I know how Malik is going to react to Tamir in a situation where we have a different opinion. I should
rephrase it. It's Malik and Tal. Those are the two I'm worried about.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't know how Malik will react to Tal. We will definitely have a conflict, because we've been, I think, in the same way that like Tal and Tamir have been like dancing around romantic feelings. I feel like there has been a tension between Malik and Tal that has just been slowly like smoldering to a point where, like, I think the most heated it got was when I brought the doctor on the ship. But like we're headed towards a fight somewhere.
You are so gonna be.
Too bad there's not a brig on board your ship.
Yeah. Well, I think the only reason why we haven't fought yet is because our goal, despite the fact that we've never talked about it, our goal is protecting Tamir, and that's the only thing. That's the dam, right? That's the dam holding back this flood. And I think when that dam breaks, there's going to be a fight, and I'm really interested to see that fight because that's going to put Tamir in a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool, strong role-playing moment that I obviously am well aware that Joey can handle. But I think that's going to be a very interesting...
think about that all the time. Yep. Like, oh my God, there's going to come a point in time where a choice is going to have to be made.
And I'm
Who do you think Tamir will choose?
I'm so interested. This second, I think Tamir chooses Malik. But I don't know where that goes.
I think Tamir would choose Malik.
Right now.
I think he would hate Malik for putting him into that position.
Oh, 100%.
But he would be forced to make the decision, and he would hold resentment towards him.
100%.
If he's put in a position where he has to choose between Tao and Malik, he will choose Malik, but after that choice, their dynamic will completely shift.
100%.
That's my thought process.
But I think that's right now. I don't know in 6 episodes or 7 episodes or 8 episodes. I don't know where that goes, or how that plays out, right? But I think right now, because it's still a very much, it's not, I don't even think it's a will they won't they with Tamir and Tao right now. I think it's a, you might be in like with this person, right? Like you both have a crush. So I don't think it's gotten to the point where it would be a choice for him. I think it'd be an uncomfortable moment, and he would be regretting it, like Paul said. But I think if that continues to grow, then it's going to be a serious decision for Tamir, and I'm really excited to see how that plays out because those moments are dope.
Yeah, I will say now. Earlier, you said that it was interesting because Tal was so neutral on Malik when people are usually polarized. That's because of Tamir.
Right, exactly.
That's true. You tolerate Malik because of Tamir.
Right.
Well, I mean, when you were introduced as his older brother.
Right.
So Tal's like, all right, I gotta deal with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, he's a dick. All right, he's a big dick. I'm still gonna... Yep, sure, you can... Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know what breaks first. Either Tal will fight Malik, because it won't go the other way around. I know that. Or Malik will do something to expose himself to Tal that he's not actually a piece of shit. That will further that tolerance. It will give him enough good grace to be like, okay, you're not a bad guy.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did Tal find out that Malik took Tamir's debt to save him? Has that been made known and clear to Tal?
Were we not all in the room?
Yeah, we were all in the room when they were talking about his stuff.
In the Hot Springs episode.
Well, there was that, but then there was also I guess this is another spoilers.
Oh yeah,
Spoilers. In the other in what was it, the last episode when we got our new assignment, we had that talk where they were like, okay, and now your debt's gone, and now there's this, and all this has been all magically erased and taken care of, and Tamir didn't want to agree to it because his debt was in there, and he went through this whole thing about how like you took away my choice on what to do, and you didn't talk to me about it, and then he goes and talks to Tal's mom in the library.
Yeah, I think.
So yeah, we talked about that.
I think all of our cards are on the table pretty much at this point.
Yeah, I think.
Which is where I wanted to leave all of you coming into season 2. Like, I wanted all the cards on the table. I wanted it to feel vulnerable and like you didn't have a choice almost.
Yeah.
Right? Your debt. It needed to feel like a Deus Ex Machina was wrapped around something really sour. Right? So like we basically got that Deus Ex Machina of like, your debt's wiped away. None of you are going to prison. We had to follow up on some Sewell things with tattoos and whatnot.
Oh my God, that
other storyline that's coming.
I will tell you right now, the fucking scene of Tamir getting dragged out of the club with Soul while he's gripping him with a bloody arm was probably my favorite picture in my head. I could just imagine Tamir's like, I was just trying to help. Fuck you, get the fuck out.
Yep. This is how you. Yep.
It was like a big brother trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble. What are you doing here? But
yeah, that was the arm grab.
yeah,
I don't know if you know what the arm grab
The
is.
grab.
But that was the grab.
Yeah.
I loved that scene so much for so many reasons, right? So, like, as Joey's friend, I loved that scene because it was fucking hysterical. In character, I loved that scene because it was fucking hysterical. As a GM and a player, it was also a great scene, like, behind the scenes, because, like, this is a role-playing scenario that Joey would never put himself in. Like, this is one of those times where we didn't communicate, hey man, I'm gonna shove you into a strip club. Are you cool with this? But, like, there was immediately conversation behind the scenes, like, in the Zoom chat, and, like, Dot picked up on it and was like, okay, let's not go too ham on what this nightclub is, and kind of, like, so it had
wasn't
the
necessary.
funny... Right, exactly, right. It wasn't at all. But it had the funny moments of, like, oh no, I'm slightly uncomfortable in a comedic way.
That's all we needed.
But then also, like, then it quickly ended, and I think it was perfect and succinct, and it was just enough brevity in a.
Do you guys like
episode.
that little change around the bouncer did?
Yeah, I liked a whole bunch of that scene. From, like I said, from a production standpoint, I think it was well done, and that was just like communication without having to like discuss it. We knew how to navigate the scene collectively, and I think it was very well done together, and had the desired effect of being comedic relief in an otherwise tense moment. And
very tense moment, and that's actually how I balanced it. I knew it was going to be an intense moment for Sewell because basically you were being branded, and you're now carrying some information literally on your body, and I knew that's heavy business, y'all. In case you didn't know, and really this was a long-term punishment, right? From episode 1, Sewell made a decision not to follow through on that contract, not do the thing that he was asked to do to get their asses out of trouble thanks to darkness points. And so when you made the decision not to, I knew immediately that it meant that you guys were going to get a patron at the end. You were going to get a sugar daddy. You're going to get your daddy Warbucks.
You're welcome, bitches.
Right? But in return, Sewell took a literal brand for that.
Yeah.
Sewell took one for the team without knowing it.
He still doesn't know it either.
He still doesn't know it yet. He doesn't know the full repercussions of like what has gone down. But I agree with you, Mike. I think the comedy, it being Tamir, it could have been Tal, it could have been Malik, but it was Tamir, and it was a beautiful look at innocence and him trying to do the right thing in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And it created a nice balance of comedy in a very serious moment where one of our players is being branded.
And it wasn't one of those moments where it's like sometimes you try to inject comedy in a tense moment because like you need that brevity. But like this was also a very in character. Like this is 100% a big brother to a little brother ball busting kind of thing. And like I feel like, again, you know, Joey and I haven't talked a crazy amount about like our backstory, but like having grown up the way we did on Algol and then escaping Algol more or less and coming to here, he basically went right into school. And like, there's a reason why Malik busts his chops and calls him a nerd all the time. Because that's how Malik, he sees his kid brother as a nerd. So in his eyes, he's like, oh, he's unfamiliar with this kind of experience.
Which is hilarious considering the fact that Malik as a data gen has to be very intelligent.
Right. Right.
So it's a defense mechanism is what it is.
It's
a shield.
Ooh,
which is the same reason why he tells people he works at Space By.
Yeah.
So I also have two things to add about this. First off, the fact that Tamir, so in character, went into that thing and like Gnome knew what kind of a club it was.
Right.
You're not stupid. You know, you could understand. And
thanks,
so
Well,
I'm glad to know you don't think I'm stupid.
tell me I'm wrong and I'll call you a liar.
Hey, you know, not many people think that, so thanks.
Anyways, so like you knew that going in, so like there was that level of consent there with like you knew what you were getting yourself into and you still went for it. And Dot was gentle.
That's true.
That was very true.
I'm known to be a gentle human.
What are you
But
wearing in your
also
TV
we
right
were-
now?
Wow, that call out.
Owlser.
Called.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we were also talking about it, and had Tamir not been the one that went in, say they sent Tal instead. Well, Tal going into the nightclub as an agoraphobic person who is afraid of crowds and lights and stuff like that, it would have been a much different scene for
Yeah.
her. Like,
It probably would have been about Sewell rescuing you from
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
someone would have had to probably rescue Tal from a mental breakdown in that club, and there probably would have been darkness activated and all this stuff. It would have gotten into a serious scene there. But the fact that Tamir went instead, it was very good.
I actually have a question about that. Not about the role play of it, but as a player, and as a Twitch streamer, for the majority of you that are Twitch streamers and tabletop role play streamers and that kind, do you think about those all, like, so for me, for the instigator of the scene, right? I thought about what if it's Tamir? This will be comic relief. He can handle this. This will be a funny moment. If this is Tal, this is not a good scene for Tal, and it won't bring brevity to the scene, and it will be about maybe not about Sewell rescuing her, but like her running out of the club, maybe something like that. And then if it's Malik will just hang out and won't rescue Sewell, and it will be a little funny, but not the
I know what I would have done if it had been
Malik. Oh, I would have got dragged in to get a tattoo, I'm sure.
No, I can do much worse than
Oh,
that.
right, the fucking stupid dancer was there.
The dancer was there.
Yeah.
It would have been the prime time for you to say, have the doctor show up.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna lock her in a cryo chamber. But that's what I was thinking. Is like I went through that scenario of like, okay, what I'm going to interject in the scene. What would the best outcome be? Do you guys do that when you're role playing, either from a role play perspective, like at the home table, or like do you do it from like, you know, a Twitch perspective? Like, how do you process that?
I do it a little bit. As we were leading up to it, I was thinking about what would happen if each of them went in. And I was fully prepared for Tal to go in, because Tal would rather go in herself than send Tamir into unknown club to try to rescue Soul, because if anybody's going to get into a bar fight, it's probably Tal has the best chance. So she was willing to do that. But once she got in there, it would have been an entirely different situation for her. So she would have gone in and freaked the fuck out.
Yep.
But you know,
I don't know. To answer your question, Mike, I'm constantly thinking about that.
Yeah,
Where to give, where to take, where the ebb and flow is, where to step. Even as a player and as a GM, I'm constantly looking for those moments. I
was no offense, Dot. I had a feeling of what your answer was. Because we have a similar playstyle where I'm constantly thinking of like 3 or 4 moves ahead so that I can adapt on this thing, and that's what helps me improv out a scene, which is why like when you spit out some nonsense at me, I have a response immediately and I don't have to like think about it, because I'm trying to think of all the scenarios you're going to toss at me. But like,
great. So what I'm hearing is I need to step my game up.
You got to think about 5. If I'm capping on at 3, you got to go for 5.
If you're at 3, I got to be 5 steps ahead. Damn, I'm gonna have to start writing notes.
I've been playing chess.
Yeah. But yeah, Gnome and Paul, do you guys think about that kind of scenario? Like, do you think about like multiple angles to approach a scene before you enter the scene, or do you just kind of fucking fall into it?
No, I think about it a lot. For that particular moment, I felt comfortable with Dot's GM style, that if this was a scene that she knew needed to just be Soul, she'd stop me at the door.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I knew that the character had to make the attempt. It was important to Tamir to make the attempt. But I trusted Dot would either stop it or let it proceed. So...
And honestly, one of the other reasons I let it proceed, not just because of the comedic effect, because it was just set up so beautifully when your brother played a prank on you, and it worked out role play wise that way. So for the spoilers, I won't ruin what's said but I think it also, just as secrets don't mean anything unless they're shared with someone. You can't activate a secret. You can't actively play on a secret. Individual scenes where, say, Sewell had this entire experience in the club by himself doesn't mean anything because, Sewell's not going to share it with anyone unless somebody else sees it.
Right.
And so part of it, too, is about getting somebody into that scene so that it can be seeded and brought up again later. For example, what's the first thing Tamir said? Why is your arm bleeding?
Yep.
So now something happened. Tamir may not know what, but Tamir could bring it up again or look into it. And that's also how you keep that pace and that story going. As a GM, I'm just constantly looking for places to continue seeding drama because that's what story's built on, conflict. You've got to look for the conflict. And so a character can have their own conflicts and say like a flashback scene, but if a scene is constantly going just one person, it doesn't make it actionable and activated again for a later opportunity, which is when story begins to get disconnected. And your players aren't working together anymore. And we had worked so beautifully to like come together at the end that I needed somebody to see what was happening to Sewell.
Yeah. I also just realized on what we were talking about earlier, if things get super tense between Malik and Tamir, Malik is going to fight Sewell.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
because I can't fight Tal.
So why are you gonna fight me? What did
Why
I do?
can't you fight Tal?
Why can't you? Why can't you fight Tal?
Because if things are tense between Malik and Tamir, and he fights with Tal, then things will be more tense between Malik and Tamir. And he's smart enough to know that. Like he's not gonna.
You're just gonna pick a fight?
No, he's not gonna pick a fight. But like, there are moments in season 1 where like he's like, "Saul, are you fucking dumb?" Like there are moments like that in like every couple episodes.
I see what you're saying.
So one of those moments where it will just
projected anger.
Yeah, it'll be one of those times where he does something that's just like just dumb enough to like tweak. Malik the way he does normally, but he just might go a little bit extra because he's already stressed out. I look forward
to the moment that Sewell kicks Malik's ass.
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
That would be super interesting.
The shit out of him.
That's who we need to have a bet on, right?
Yeah.
This goes for you too, chat. Who do you think is going to be aside from Tamir, who threw the first punch, who's going to be the non-blood related person to just deck that smug fucking look off Malik's face?
I think if it's Sewell, it will have a more lasting effect. In my opinion,
I agree.
My thought though is like if that happens, because Sewell is kind of like not.
I love that Paul thinks it's just gonna be Sewell.
Damn it, man! Why aren't you on my team?
Yeah, love it.
Well, I think. Oh, just a quick reiterate of your original question for me before I add on to it.
Oh yeah.
I realistically, I do think about it. But I think about it in the sense of my own entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just for fun. But when it comes to role play, I try not to because I like to think of it as, like, if my character would do that. Does he consider that a thing that he needs to consider? Like, is he going to care if other people interject with his issues? Or is he going to care of what he does has a certain reaction to other things? Sometimes he does. So for me, it's all about situation based. Like people coming into the club thing for my own purpose, I'd be like, oh, that'd be pretty funny if like this happened or this happened. But for Sewell, like his character, because he wouldn't give a shit of who comes in, or because he tried to tell them not to come in. I wouldn't think of it that much into it because I don't need to. It's more just like flipping through channels.
Yeah.
If certain situations where Sewell does need to, then I would do it. But most of the times it's my faith, and this is like the same with Joey. My faith is fully in Dot. Like I trust that no matter what happens, she's a professional at what she does.
Oh, thanks, friend.
So she knows.
It says the professional who has a Coriolis shirt and vampire teeth on.
Just saying, you're promoting the book and you're future promoting your future show. So this is actually marketing 101. But like I said, like I think I don't need to think about stuff like that. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I think all I need to focus on is what the fuck would Sewell do, right? And then after that, it's like it doesn't matter what else happens because Tamir will take care of Tamir. Malik will take care of Malik. Tal will take care of Tal. And then Dot will take care of all of us when it needs to be.
Yeah.
So that gives me the opportunity to produce.
Take care.
We're all dead.
And the darkness point there, and the
That's my
darkness
little
point
thing.
there.
So
the next.
Go ahead.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Shit.
That's okay. I'll jump in here. So May says Tal hits Malik first. Malik will get mad and try to fight Sewell, and Sewell will kick his ass. So I think that's
why would Malik come after me after Tal hits Malik?
That's,
that
I don't think that's a series of events, right? I think if someone's going to strike Malik first, the first person to hit Malik is going to be Tal. However, I think that like if the events go that way, right? I think that Malik would like be pissed off and then take it out on Sewell. Correct. But I don't think that there would be a physical fight between Sewell and Malik. Because so far, up until right this very second, like Sewell has been incredibly level-headed. Even in like killing his sibling, he was very level-headed and calm the entire time. So like I feel like Sewell would understand what's happening and would not physically fight
There's
Malik.
a reason why both of you work for the... There's a reason that both of you work for the Syndicate. Mm-hmm. You're both really good at your jobs.
Yeah.
That brings us to like I'll give a little spoiler thing with Soul's mental capacity. He knows that he can kill. He knows that he's capable of killing certain people or certain things. So when he's in a position where it's like, oh, I'm gonna get into a fight, he doesn't have the mentality of like, I'm gonna get into a fight to get into a fight.
Right.
No, his mentality is if I get into a fight, that person's gonna die.
Right.
Because that's what his entire life has always been trained to do that. That's why when he got into the argument in episode 1 with the big bully dudes, he tried to escape. He didn't try to fight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When he got into the fights with the monsters, he instinctively just shot and wanted to kill because he knew they needed to die. If he gets into a conflict with Malik and he's like, oh, this is gonna go into a physical combat, my training is going to activate and I might kill Malik.
So I actually thought about that too, and what an interesting moment it might be to have to watch Sewell struggle with
what it would
the
be
stopping of killing it, his natural instincts, right?
Yep.
That habitual piece of having to struggle with that. That'll be interesting. I've already made the note.
So I think I think that aspect would be interesting. I also think the fact that like Sewell has the smarts to know, okay, this is not an actual fight, right? And I don't need to kill Malik. And so I think there is a potential for a possibly physical, but also passive,
I will say,
de-escalation. So like,
I will say though, Sewell has a limit though, especially with everything that just happened with his brother's memories. Like everything that was locked. The reason why he's so robotic is because he loses his emotions.
Sure.
Now that everything kind of broke out, his emotions are flooding back. Mm-hmm. So his bridge and his limits are starting to.
And I see a fight with Malik as an opportunity for Sewell to get to be a big brother again.
Right.
It's a chance for Sewell to look at another person that needs genuinely needs a big brother, needs somebody to discuss what's troubling him. That's the issue with Malik, is that he's kept it all to himself.
Exactly.
And this is I think that would be an interesting opportunity to watch roleplay happen and watch Sewell get to do what he didn't get to do before.
Mm-hmm. I think if Sewell de-escalates a fight, then there's going to be a hard role play session between Paul and I where that comes out. And if he doesn't de-escalate a fight, should that happen, then there will be a very difficult scenario for Paul himself, like for just Sewell to have on his own, that internal struggle of do I kill this guy or not? Which I think is super interesting.
Oh,
no.
Bitch, please, we only getting started.
No.
I will say though, there is no emo Soul. Like
there is only Soul.
There is only emo Soul.
Like he is sad. Like there's only Soul. He is sad about his like. Shut up, May. I can hear her laughing. Like, there is no like. He's not depressed about what happened. It's a burden he carries. Mm-hmm. But he's carried it, so he's not like sad about it. He's just regretful and guilty. I think there's people need to understand there's a huge difference between just being sad and depressed and having guilt and being sad. There's like a huge dynamical difference.
Yep.
And Soul's kind of a you'll learn.
It's okay.
Kind of a bitch. Like
Sewell and Malik carry a lot of guilt.
I don't know that Malik carries guilt.
I feel like Malik carries guilt that he got caught.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think he does.
You don't think he carries guilt for, like, I guess not, because you chose to take your brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is actually cool. So this is one of the things that Joey and I talked about after the last episode, which is one of those things where like this won't come out in roleplay because it's too much exposition, right? Like In the family, Malik was the older brother, which means everything was expected of him,
Right.
and less was expected of Tamir. And then their parents die, and so like, and I feel like in this scenario, Malik never did the right thing. Like, he was always kind of a fuck up, so he never met those expectations. And then when his parents died, he now became the caregiver and decided right then and there that, like, I will never put that pressure on Tamir that I had to deal with, and I instead am going to make sure that he is the best he can. I'm going to lift him up, which is why even if lifting him up means putting myself down, at least he will be, you know, on this pedestal kind of thing. So I don't think he has like any regrets or any guilt about the scenario.
Note to self:
He might
Mike feel guilty.
He might have like, depending on what we haven't discussed like what happened. I don't think anything was super violent that they got into on Algol, but that's why I don't think he has guilt about that. I think at most it was the same kind of mysterious thing like with Tamir, right, where he delivered this package and we don't know what happened. I think that's kind of how the rebel stuff worked. Like, we did jobs and sometimes buildings exploded an hour later, but we didn't actually detonate the building, right? Like, so it was things like that where we're trying to bring down the man and the establishment, but I don't think we actually like pulled the plunger and blew up buildings and things like that.
We did between us, that almost happened. That was a big reason why Tamir started having some resentment for Malik,
right?
Because Tamir was supposed to go off with a group of friends and go bomb a place that they thought, you know, was part of the industry or whatever, and Malik stopped him.
Right.
And they all went off, and some of them died.
Right.
In that conflict.
Yeah.
So that stemmed some
internal.
Oh, and the parallel of you actually dropping a bomb on side of Coriolis. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that.
I didn't know that. What a beautiful, like.
My question is, what is Tamir's thoughts after that? After he finds out some of his friends died, like, does he feel thankful to his brother, or does he feel guilt that some of his friends died and he didn't?
He was upset. He should have been there. Like, maybe that wouldn't have happened if he had been the one that was assembling the bomb.
See, that thought right there, I think, really emphasizes Tamir's personality, where he focuses a lot of proactive action versus reactive actions of what his brother is doing or like what's happening around him. It's like, instead of seeing like the other outcomes of everything, it's more just like, what could have I done? What could I have fixed, or what could I have contributed to it? And when that's taken away from, say, his brother, that's like an interesting dynamic right there. I didn't really like see that per se.
Yeah, it's very much a
that's so Full Metal Alchemist. It's so Alphonse and Edward.
Yeah.
It's very much an I know best, regardless of what you think I know best. And I don't think that there's any. I mean, unless something drastic happens, I don't think that there's any getting through to Malik that's not a fact, right? I think he's so sure in where he is now and where Tamir is now that everything has been working to make Tamir what he is, right? Like a good person who does well and like benefits society, right? Like being a portal master is a great honor, and the research that he's doing is also could help people, which is why like we've discussed in like backstory stuff, like the only jobs that Malik would let Tamir take were like irrigation guy, like help the people make this thing. Like they were all like service kind of jobs that like he would help the impoverished kind of thing.
You can't protect him forever.
But there's no getting through to him that's true. That's
perfect. So
and that's
my
his
note
flaw, right?
For Malik.
Go for it. That's his flaw.
So you know how your original question was what is everyone looking forward to season 2?
Yeah.
I feel like that question Dot has not let go, and now Dot.
No, I've been taking notes this whole time.
Yeah, we fucked.
As you guys are talking about like what you're hoping is going to happen, and like, I'm making a bullet list.
Yeah, I thought we were just supposed to like build our ship and get some upgrades and do some shit.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have to do. We'll have to do that
the
elsewhere.
Ship stuff pulled up. I've had it pulled up this whole time.
Do you know what you want?
No,
A
because I
break.
don't understand how any of this works. That's what we were supposed to go over.
We can always go over it.
Doing this
We could always
2
go
hours.
We have another week.
I'm so excited about it.
But yes, okay, so I can walk you through that. That's very easy. But I mean, basically, you have the money you need depending on the item, because I know some of that stuff for ship upgrades is really expensive. So
I mean,
a lot
they
of
all are. It's
But
right
also,
will depend on what you guys want or what
God
you're
also
wanting
said
specifically.
You can talk to the patron.
You have a patron. He will pay for the upgrades as long as you come through on your end, as promised.
All right. Well, we are a little bit over time, our normal time. So I will
This
end
was a lot of fun, though.
This was
This was
fun.
cool.
I will end this by saying what I am looking forward to in season 2. And then we'll get the hell out of here. I don't think we need outros for this crazy episode.
No, can we all say what we're looking forward to?
We all did.
Oh.
Everyone but you, because you're the GM and you know what the whole campaign
But
is.
I can still say
All right,
what I
Dot.
look forward
Dot,
to.
what are you looking forward to, you creepy note taker?
I am looking forward to actually diving into the module. Actually diving into the meat of the story.
That's fair.
Consider season 1 kind of a prologue and a character introduction. But I'm also excited to get out of space and get off of a gas planet.
Oh,
Like we're going to go
yes.
planet side, and we're going to have a chance to see some things. I think that's going to be very interesting, and
That's
this
not
will
ominous
be
at all.
the first time that the group, as pointed out, is really working together as a group and not in their own accord. And that's going to be very important as you basically plan for this mission. You've not been given instruction on how to do it, and this one's going to take some real planning on your part. And I look forward to seeing that happen. The development of the crew and how I can rip that apart.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what was that last part? I should have muted myself.
You're fine.
as you saw from our backstories, we're really good at planning.
Also really good at ripping ourselves apart.
Yeah, you don't even have to apply pressure, Dot. We'll just fuck ourselves up. You just have to give us
Just sit there and
give us the
smile.
paddle. We got it. We'll figure it out. Right?
Raise your eyebrows every now and then.
You know what you can do to really fuck with us? Just raise your eyebrows randomly without any intent, and you'll scare us no matter what. So
Nah,
we'll always
you
be
can't.
freaked out.
You can't control it. There's a
I
face.
can't.
there's
It's uncontrollable.
there's a whole face she makes.
It's just like
it's a whole thing. Yeah. Well, there's the eyebrow raise, and then there's the I know more than you do smile, which is a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah,
It's
that's
one
very
it's one of these.
Yep.
It's that little sideways smirk, and then the the oh really is the chin goes
That's
down
so
and the
true.
eyebrows go up.
Oh, we okay.
Hey, well, I'm being called the fuck out. Mike, what are you looking forward to in season
To
3?
be fair, Dot, I'm calling you out because that's what I
Wait,
do. That's
did-
why I know them so
Did you say
well.
Season 3.
I mean,
I'm
season
pretty sure
2.
Dad just
I
said
said season 2.
Season
Well,
3?
What I'm looking forward to most is all of the things we discussed just recently about the conflicts, interpersonal stuff is my jam. Also, I am looking forward to the most in season 2 is season 3. That being said, we will get the hell out of here.
There's no season 3.
And we will see you guys next week for the premiere of Void Season 2, Episode 1, the prequel to Season 3. From all of us, you guys, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye!
Bye.
Goodbye.